Hello, hello. Welcome back to our next lesson for today. So on Tuesday, our last lesson, we just focused on substitution. So we would take, one equation and plug it into the other. Let me just go back really quick and show you, just to help you get an idea of where we were last lesson. So we said solve a system using substitution, but we were just focusing on the first step, being able to take one equation and plug it into the other. So we saw that this top one was solved for y, so I could take that and plug it in where y was. So we had 3x plus 1 equals the rest of the equation, 5x minus 3. Now, hopefully that went okay. If it didn't, please reach out to me for help. That is going to be super beneficial for today's lesson because that is the first step of what we're doing today. Now, a few quick things before we actually get into the math. So again, this is solving a system using substitution. Sometimes we will not have graphs given. Sometimes the numbers are too complicated to use a graph. And sometimes you're just going to be said, solve using substitution. A lot of times, sorry, my hair is just being whack. A lot of the times, one of the best things with math is it's like a puzzle, and there's many different ways you can put it together. I mean, if you give a puzzle to somebody and then give it to another group, chances are they're going to put them together completely different. Math can be very similar, especially when we get to more complex problems. So with a system of equations, there's actually 3 different ways to solve them. We've already learned graphing. Today we're talking substitution. Next week we learned the third method. Again, solving a system of equations means we are finding, where the two graphs would cross if we graphed them. In other words, it's the point where it makes both equations true at the same time. It's the one point that is the solution to both equations. Now, so again, substitution is easy to use when we have equations that are already solved. Sorry, my cat just ran away. When we have an equation solved for x or for y, so like in this first one, this equation is solved for y right here. So that tells me substitution is probably the way to go. We do substitution so that we can solve one variable at a time. On Tuesday, I mentioned it is impossible to solve an equation when we have 2 different variables. There are multiple pairs of x and y that could make this equation true. And so in order to figure out what they are, we only need one variable. So by doing substitution, it allows us to focus on one variable first and then find the next one. Okay, so steps to solve a system using substitution. Steps to find where my points are the same at the same time. We're going to substitute one equation into the other. Plug one equation into the other. Again, this is what we did yesterday. So now I'm going to write that down. We have x plus 3. I'm using different colors to show you how I plugged it in. 2x plus 4. Okay. Now we're going to solve for the remaining variable. So now that we only have x's, we can solve this equation for x to figure out what it is. When we solve an equation for x, and we have variables on both sides, we need to just move one over. Something I need to add that you'll see is move the smaller x to the other side. So in this case, my smaller x would be this one right here. X is smaller than 2x. So I move an x by subtracting x on both sides. Now those cancel, and we have 3 equals 2 minus 1 is just 1x, and then plus 4. We have one last step to get x by itself. I have a plus 4. To move that, I subtract 4 on both sides, and we get negative 1 equals x. Okay, step 2 is done. Now, in my equation, I have a y equals x plus 3. But we know what x is now. So we can take our value in step 2, our x that we just found, and we can plug it back in to find y. So let me show you how we do that. So we have y equals x plus 3. You could plug it into either one of these equations and you'll get the right answer. I just like x plus 3. It looks a little smaller, so I think it might be easier. And I'm going to take this x value and I'm going to plug it in for x. And we get y equals 2. Now, final step, write our solution as an ordered pair. So my answer is x comma y. So my x value is -1, comma my y value is 2. So again, first thing is just the substitution step. We practiced that in the lesson previous. Today we get a little bit more complicated, but all we're doing is move our x over, solve for x, and then plug that back in. If you need to get this down, go ahead and just take another minute, pause me, and copy down what you need to. But I'm going to move on to the next one. Again, if you need to get it down, just go back, rewind me, and pause me. Okay, same thing. I just want to model it a second time for you before you work on your independent practice. So we have solve using substitution, y equals 6x plus 2, y equals 2x plus 10. Okay, same thing. Substitute one equation into the other. So I see y equals 6x plus 2. I'm going to plug that in for y. So we get 6x plus 2, and then the rest of my equation on bottom was 2x plus 10. It's an equal sign. And now we're going to solve for x. Again, I set it up here. Move the smaller x to the other side. You'll have that in your notes. Oh my goodness, that I did not mean to do. I'm just going to retype it. Okay, so we're going to move the smaller x first. We have 6x and 2x. 2x is smaller, so I move a positive 2x by subtracting 2x. 6 minus 2 is 4x plus 2, and that equals 10. And then now we solve for x. If I want x, I move the addition first, so we subtract 2 on both sides. We get 4x equals 8. 4 times x, so we divide, because division is the opposite. And 8 divided by 4 is 2. And then again, now we use our value from step 2, and then we plug it in to find our missing variable. So now, again, I'm going to choose whatever equation I want. I like 2x better than 6x, so I'm going to use the second equation. I know what x is, so again, I use my value we found in step 2, and I plug it into one of the original equations. So we do y equals 2 times 2 plus 10. 2 times 2 is 4 plus 10, and we get y equals 14. And then we end by writing it as an ordered pair. We have our x value is 2, and then our y value 14. All right. Again, if you need to get that down, feel free to pause me to make sure you finish this completely. And that is it. You have, ooh, that's my answer key. You have 6 problems below. I've given you a hint to kind of start step 1, I believe. Let me go check it out. Yep, so I've kind of given you hints on 1 and 2/3 to help you get started. So give it your best shot. Again, come back and look at these examples from our notes to help you. That's why they are there. So look back up and refer to them if you get stuck, or just send me a message and let me know you need help with this lesson. When you finish, go ahead and open up your mastery check and then finish that, and then let me know when you're done so I can update your grade. All right, have a great day. Get to work on this IP, get as far as you can, please, and I'll see you soon.